Hey guys, it is I. It has been a while, not gonna lie, that accidentally rhymed. But yeah, I'm finally doing my February wrap up. Yeah, it's nearly April, but we're getting there. So I'm just gonna jump straight in. I read several books in February. It was a very slow starting month, but I managed to grab a few more towards the end. So yes. First up, I read Dear Martin by Nick Stone. This is about a boy who is just living his life out there, and then cops just keep bugging him, racially profiling him, and then shooting his best friend, basically. So in here, it's not a spoilers, it's all in the back. He gets stopped by the police when he's just trying to help somebody that he knows, his ex-girlfriend, and then a bit later on, but not very later on in the book, he's with his friend in a car, they have music loud, and a policeman shoots the car up and kills his best friend. So on one hand, obviously this is fiction, on the other hand this has definitely happened numerous times in real life, so it feels very realistic because it does actually happen. And it's called Dear Martin because throughout he's writing letters to Martin Luther King, trying to like learn about his teachings, trying to figure out how he would handle certain situations. And yeah, I really enjoyed this book. I've had it for a while, I'm glad I finally got to it. And there is a second book that's like a companion book that I definitely want to get to, which is following a character that's in this book who is then talking to Justice, I believe, who is the main character in here, and trying to figure out the same sort of thing, but what would Justice do? So yeah, definitely want to get to that one. After that, I read The Sunbearer Trials by Aidan Thomas, and honestly going into this I was a little bit apprehensive. So Cemetery Boys, absolutely loved, thought it was amazing. Lost in the Neverwoods, I thought it was very average. I gave it 3 stars and then unhauled it the same month. So when I got to here, I was like, is it going to be great? Is it going to be average? I really hope it's the former, and it was the former. I absolutely loved this book. I don't know if it's going to be a duology or a trilogy or whatever, but obviously there's more books coming for sure. And I really like how this one ended. There's loads of stuff kicking off. Definitely need to get to the next one. When is it coming out? But yeah, I really enjoyed this book. I enjoyed all of the different things going on. So basically the Sunbearer Trials. This is set in a world where the gods of this world all had children, and then their children are like the important ones in society, and then everyone else is just normals. And then every, what was it, 10 years? 10? I might be getting the numbers wrong, but a certain amount of these kids are chosen to do these trials. And in the end, one person wins and one person is going to have to be the sacrifice for that person to sacrifice to make the world carry on turning. Not literally, but like make sure the bad stuff doesn't happen. So yeah, this is a fun time. Obviously there's loads of different trials going on. They go to all the different gods' places, so certain places the trials will be similar to that sort of god, what they do. First of all, like I gave it 4.5 stars, and the one thing that like was hard for me was all the names. So if you're Spanish, or if you speak Spanish, or you know Spanish, this is probably not going to be a problem, but because I don't, I was getting so confused. There were just so many names, especially towards the beginning of the book. They had this big like not celebration, not party, a big get together to like start the trials off. Everyone meets, and they're just introducing a character after character after character after character, and I was like, I do not know who is who, what's what. You're throwing words at me. I would have really appreciated in the back of here or in the front of here to have a character list. I feel like that's just a normal requirement in this sort of thing. Like, if characters speak in a different language in books, I am like fully here for leaving that how it is. Don't make a character say a sentence in one word, in one language, and then tell me what it is in English. Like, I am fully here for me getting onto Google Translate, typing it in, and then figuring that out. That's well and good, but character names, I feel like they're really important, and you can't just really Google a character's name to know who they are. I did actually tweet Aidan Thomas about this, like, please in the second book have the character list, and he did say that on his website there's a character list, but I feel like obviously people are not going to know that unless they're told. And I feel like it should be in the actual book. I shouldn't have to go on a website to know the character names. So that was the one thing that, like, it took me about half the book to figure out what the shit was going on, because I couldn't remember who was who. But other than that, I absolutely adore this book. I gave it 4.5 out of 5. I buddy read this book, and my partner in buddy reads also really loved it. So yes, it was a very good time. Really enjoyed it. There were like some twists and turns, some mystery stuff. I was like, have I figured this out? Have I not figured that out? Is this person doing some dodgy stuff or they not doing some dodgy stuff? So it was really good and I really enjoyed it. So yeah. After that, I read Monster Hunting for Beginners by Ian Mark. This is a middle grade book. Another one that's part of a series. So basically, as a main character, what's his name? Jack. I didn't need to look because like everybody in fantasy is called Jack. And that is a thing in here, like talking about, you know, like Jack and the Beanstalk, Jack the Giant Killer, Jack, they're the same person. Jack jumping in the candlesticks. All the Jacks, all the people are called Jack, aren't they? Realistically, when you think about it. But yeah, so we have Jack, our main character, and his mum died while he was younger. He's still younger, it's a middle grade. And since then, his dad has been really protective. We don't want him to do anything, don't want him to go out, don't want him to like interact with things that might be bad. And then a troll or an ogre falls on his house and stuff starts kicking off and he becomes a monster hunter. Is pretty much the basics of that. Obviously it goes into it a bit more, but it's just a really fun book. Throughout the book as well, like because it's Monster Hunting for Beginners, there's like this old wizened dude that's like teaching him about it. And it's just really fun because throughout there's pages from the book that would like teach him how to be a monster hunter. So like, oh, for the attention of the new monster hunters. And then there are other little sections that are like talking about certain monsters that they might meet and stuff. So yeah, I had a really fun time with this. I would love to carry it on. It's also got illustrations throughout. It was funny and silly and I really enjoyed it. So yeah, if you're after a new middle grade book, then that one is a good one. And the second book is already out, so hopefully I'll read that at some point soon. We're about halfway through, so I shall head on over to a message for one of the spawns and then I shall be back with the rest of the books. After that, I read The Prison Doctor by Dr. Amanda Brown. I've had this book for ages, so I finally got around to it, and this is a medical memoir. It's about Amanda Brown. I was trying to say Amantha then, that's not how you say words. And her time as a doctor in the prison system. At the beginning as well, she was like a normal doctor, just in like a doctory place. And it talks a bit about how all of the higher ups like forcing doctors to spend less time with patients and trying to do certain things to make it like get more money. You know, when you get partners, they need more money and stuff. So I found that bit really interesting because obviously people know the fact that it's hard to get into doctors to get appointments, and then your appointments are like 5 minutes long. And Dr. Amanda Brown didn't like that. She didn't want to do that because she knew she had to spend more time with the patients. She wanted to be able to put as much attention into people that she needed. So for that reason she quit and then found herself going into the prison system. So basically she wrote a paper one night when she was mad and sent it out, basically talking about that, about how it was all getting more about money or how many people they can fly through and not putting the effort onto the things that need the effort and stuff. And that got into some medical papers, and then somebody calls her and like, hey, do you want to come work at a prison? And then from there it just goes into different sections of her time in prison. So she works in several different prisons and it's talking about different things that happened in each of those prisons. I gave it 4 stars. I thought it was good. But yeah, it goes through different stuff and talks about different people, and there are some names in here of like real criminals that you could probably Google and find out. There are no like name dropping of big people really of who she talks about, but there are a few where I thought, oh, I wonder if I Google that, is that a real name? Because I didn't know if you're allowed to use real names, but then they're in the prison, so of course you are. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars. If you like medical memoir type things, then you're probably going to enjoy this. After that I read This Is How You Fall in Love by Anika Hussain, and this one was a fake dating romance. So it's about these 2 characters and they're absolute best friends, and everyone keeps saying that they should get together. They're like, no, we're friends, leave us alone. But then something happens where they have to, well, they don't have to, but they decide they're going to pretend to get together so one of them can have a secret partner, because they don't want people finding out that they've got a partner, because they're like, they have family members that don't want them to have anybody that they're seeing, so that's what's going on. So yeah, I did enjoy this one. There was a part of it, so it gets through it and like towards the middle, toward the end. Right, scrap all that because it's going to be hard because I don't want to spoil stuff. So basically this is like a love square. Each of the characters have love interests as well, and like these two are pretending to be together, but these two are together, but these two start liking each other as well. And at one point, like, somebody was going to do something with someone, and I was like, please do not make that the actual way that this finishes, because I will be really annoyed. But then it didn't, so then I was happy. So yeah, I did really enjoy it. There was a part of me, like, there was a part of this when I was reading it, I was like, bro, if this goes this way, this book is going to be really annoying. Well, then it didn't. So then yeah, I enjoyed it. Yes, that was hard to not give loads of stuff away, but yeah, I liked it. It was a good time. I think like most things this month were really good. Next up, I read Obeyed. Now, I googled it how to say it. Obeyed by Kenneth Martin. So this is a gay modern classic. It was written in the 1950s by a 16-year-old Kenneth Martin, and it has homosexual undertones, and this was a time when homosexuality was still illegal, so it caused quite a stir. At the beginning of this as well, there's like an introduction by him that was written, I think maybe in the 80s, so it's not like super up to date, but he wrote it quite a few years after this coming out, talking about stuff that happened at that point of in his life, about controversies, about moving from Ireland to London, and like people he met and stuff like that. So it is quite interesting. So yeah, this is basically about this one character who was just living his life and getting a job, and then there's this guy that piques his interest. Nothing is like overtly gay, although towards the end they talk about liking each other, but obviously it's not like explicit, it's not open in your face because this book was published when it was literally illegal. But it's nice to know that these books were still actually being printed and being allowed to exist. I mean, nowadays they're not banning books and it's not even illegal now, and then this came out, this was printed by an actual printing place when it was literally still illegal. So like, everyone needs to calm the fuck down, don't they, with banning all these books. But yes, I enjoyed it. It is very simplistic, but also it was literally written by a 16-year-old in like the space of 3 weeks, so you know what I mean. But I did enjoy it. It was really fast, really easy read, and it's nice to like read stuff that came before all of these bajillions of queer books that come out now, which isn't a bad thing, but you know, not very many came out then, so it's good to read them. And then last but not least, finally, I read We Were Liars by E. Lockhart. So this one, I have very mixed feelings about this. So because the first half of it, perhaps even the first 2/3 of it, was it was pretty boring. Nothing really happened. This girl's just going through talking about stuff that happened, about just these rich families that are all like, all their mums are all siblings, so they all go and stay on this island in the summer, and then each of the families has kids, and it's these kids interacting with each other and existing, going on the beach, hanging out, doing stuff. Not much happens. They're just like these privileged people just doing privileged stuff. So I was like, I don't know. I carried it on because I don't often DNF, and this is the reason why I don't, because the ending of this book made me cry so much. It was so good, but I can't give it more than like 3 stars because it was so boring at the beginning. Well, on Goodreads I gave it 3 stars. In my spreadsheet I've given it 3.5, but I don't know, shall I move it down a bit to 3 or keep it at 3.5? Because I do think the ending made it enough. Like, I will think about this book, and I have thought about this book since reading it, so like realistically 3.5 is better than 3, but I can't give it any higher because it was such a slog to get through the first half of this book. Like, the ending killed me. It was amazing, it was brilliant, there was a twist, I cried lots, it was emotional, it will stick with me. But getting to the ending was a slog, let me tell you. So yeah, I did enjoy it. I'm glad I don't DNF very often because this is why, because it was really good. But bloody hell, getting there though. And there we go, those were all the books that I read in February. Let me know down below what you read. If you've read any of these, let me know. Just say some words down there in it, that's what it's for. And yeah, I'm off now. I'll see you in a bit. Hopefully you won't wait this long in between videos, but yes. See you later. Bye.